Fam. What's up? It's Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. I want to take your calls as we start out the first Monday of the new year. It's January 8th, 2024. I'm coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I want everybody to get checked in inside the comment box, and then I want to take your calls. 205-850-1994. Let's get it going. Give me just a second for everybody to check in. Be back in 1 minute right here on Bama Football on YouTube. All right, fam. I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm trying some different things in terms of our, our broadcast and whatnot. So I appreciate you guys running the thumbs up. This really helps more than you know. So every single time you see a video on here, run the thumbs up as much as you can. I appreciate the super chats. And if you guys are fan funders, I appreciate you guys. A lot to dive into. The national title games tonight. Everybody knows that Earl Little Jr.'s father. He's pissed off. Still trying to figure out Jace McClellan, but it looks like the writing on the wall that he's gone. The national title game is tonight. You got Michigan taking on Washington. You got D'Amico Ryans doing his thing in the NFL, and you got Derrick Henry, end of an era with the Tennessee Titans. And, of course, the roster management continues at the University of Alabama, but the roster window is closed. And with that said, let's jump right into it. We got Chris from New Jersey. Chris, what's up, man?
How you doing, Kyle? Welcome back.
My friend.
Welcome back.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. You know, it was a nice.
Your trip out, you killed it. What a great job you did out there.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. You know, I knew it was going to be every single December because of everything that has got stacked on. With the transfer portal, the college football playoffs, it's a lot because you're traveling, so you're having to produce at a high level on the road. I think sometimes it is easier just to sit back in your own office or, from your mom's basement or whatever and just kind of drink a beer and just kind of report on the news. But I think like getting out there adds validity. So you kind of like exchange those different things. So I'm going to try to look at all the numbers and try to figure out, what's the best going forward. But anyways, I appreciate you being here. There's a lot to dive into. On the line with Chris from New Jersey, man. Chris, what's on your mind? I mean, you could take it any way you want. I mean, we haven't had a call-in show since the Rose Bowl. So eager to hear your thoughts.
Well, first, it's taken me some time to I've been moping around the house since the loss, and I get it. It was rough, and the offense really struggled, and I almost feel like let's not spend too much time on it because it's still painful, but the one thing I wanted to touch on several quick things, but one is I wanted to tell you that on a very positive note, on Christmas morning, we do a Secret Santa in our family, and I opened up my Secret Santa gift from my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and it was a Alabama robe, and it said embroidered on it. It said Chris from New Jersey embroidered on it, Kyle. It's a prized possession, my friend. Prized possession. I wanted to tell you, I thought your coverage was outstanding, but there's one particular thing I wanted to tell you and highlight that I thought was amazing that you did was when you were interviewing Tommy Rees. You could see when you were first talking to him, he was guarded. His body language, his arms were crossed, his body. And you see, as he's talking to you, you've got an amazing ability. You could see even with the players, they know you're legit and they know you care and they know you're the real deal. And Tommy Rees unfolds his arms and proceeds to have this great conversation with you. And I thought that was wonderful, Kyle. I thought that was that's just another piece of the puzzle for this this great channel. So, I thought that was great. So, and there's one thing I also wanted to touch on with you is, and you and I talked about this last year, a couple of weeks ago, was that I think we both, not just us, but maybe the coaches that Saban has been loyal, maybe to a fault, but I think he's broken that mold a little bit, and I think it's with giving Justice Haynes the carries early on in the Rose Bowl. I think he was worried that he was gonna hit the transfer portal, and I think you can see that Roydell leaving, and he was great. Nothing but wonderful things to say about him. And Chase. But you can see that next year, I believe that running back room and that position for Alabama is going to be a major upgrade. I love when the show you did where the chat was comparing him to like Emmitt Smith and Mark Ingram and Josh. I mean, I do think he has the potential to be one of those type of backs. But Najee was like the 6'2", 230-pound bruiser, but he also had breakaway speed. Remember him like hurdling over people from Notre Dame, and when was the last time, other than Jan Miller, there were some big long broken runs? And I know Brian Robinson was great. He waited his turn, and I appreciate when you always say, you got to come into this program and you got to wait your turn, which is the right thing to do. Develop, hit the weight room, hit the books, do the right thing, become a good citizen. But at some point you got to put the talent on the field, and I think that's a really positive going forward for next year. Is Saban is going to say, hey, listen, we've got to put the best players on the field at any given time. And you've been saying, Chase, he looks like he had a broken foot almost. And so he's playing with injury. And I get these guys have to block as well, but I think Justice Haynes could block. And I mean, I'm excited for that position. Now, the one last thing I want to talk to you about. And I had a come to Jesus moment with Milroe, and I was wrong, but then my poor wife had to listen to me screaming at the TV in the Rose Bowl. We looked sloppy in the Rose Bowl on offense. You can't blame it all on Seth's snaps, although you can blame some. But it felt like the beginning of the season. I don't know how the team that played so great against Georgia was beat. In my opinion, Michigan. I don't think they're nearly as good as Georgia. I think they lose tonight. Well, at least I'm praying they lose tonight because I hate Michigan. But do you think there's going to be an actual quarterback competition in the spring? And also, and I'll leave you with one last one is there any chance, why not have two quarterbacks play? So many teams have done that. Why don't you have Milroe come in and Ty Simpson come in, or Julian Sayin come in and move it around, give everybody some touches. I don't think that hurt. Does that hurt? You tell me.
On the line with Chris from New Jersey. I appreciate you calling in, Chris. It's been a minute since we caught up. All right, so get to a couple points. First of all, you mentioned the interview with Tommy Rees. When I sat down with him, you sit down with a lot of these different coaches of the players, and I think the most, something that helps when you're talking to somebody is be real, right? Because I think real recognizes real, and I think you see that in some of the interviews that we have, whether it's the coaches show, the call-in show, or whether we're in person doing those type of interviews. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And now talking about Tommy Rees in the Rose Bowl and the overall schematics and the thought process of some of the calls against Michigan. Look, I think, number one, we have to give Michigan credit where it's due. I think their defensive front beat up Alabama's offensive line. It didn't look like, kind of doing the rewatches, it wasn't anything, these exotic blitz packages. I think they just beat Alabama up front, and I think they beat Alabama's offensive line. And I think Alabama their offense, it looked like they regressed, like almost back to like week 2 or week 3. It just wasn't pretty in that game. On Justice Haynes, I think you might be right. I mean, kind of loyal to the fault and going with, some of those running backs that were upperclassmen, and not to take anything away from them. It's just like we've been saying this. It feels like there's something different with Justice Haynes. But with that said, I mean, Jace did look nice against Michigan. He ripped off that touchdown run, and he was playing at a high level. But you could see in that second half, and I'm with you, I think that the reason Coach Saban did play Justice Haynes in that second half was to kind of, give maybe get a spark, but also be like, hey, you are next in line and you are going to be the guy here. And I talked with Justice Haynes too. I'm sure you guys saw that interview. I never got the indication that he was going to take off or split. I know there was some people that were like, he's back in Georgia hanging out with people. Well, he's from Georgia. Like that's not, he went back to see family. He's not going to enter the transfer portal. But with that said, I mean, people get scared because if you don't play these guys, maybe they hit the portal, and that's something that Coach Saban's going to have to deal with until he's out of here. On the quarterback battle, do I think there's going to be a quarterback battle next year? I think there's always going to be a quarterback battle. There has to be. But for me, what that means is these guys are going to push Milroe. You want all of the quarterbacks to be good. You want all of the quarterbacks to improve from last season to this season because, the quarterback position for Alabama is solidified with Jalen Milroe. But going forward, you have to have a quality number 2, quality number 3, and Julian Sain. I mean, you got to put on some weight. I mean, you got to put on some weight 100%. So nobody is promised anything. Injuries do happen, but you have to play the best player. And right now, the best player at the quarterback position is Jalen Milroe. You get an offensive line around him that can give him some time. Who knows what happens in that Michigan game? I don't think we can point the finger at anybody specifically, but the offense as a whole did regress. I wanted to see bigger plays down the field from the quarterback position, hooking up with some of those wide receivers. We didn't see that. Wanted to see better protection from the offensive line. Maybe that contributed to that. I mean, Jalen was running for his life. Bad snaps, running for his life, getting decked. I mean, hard to make plays downfield when you have, less than a second to throw the ball. Michigan was just coming straight at him. Anything else that you have, Chris, while we got you on the line?
No, it was great to get back with you, Kyle.
Yeah.
You're the man. It's just keep up the great work.
Appreciate it, man.
We're excited to keep on with you all the time, and we're excited about what you hear about the winter program, and listen, we're going to blink an eye, and it'll be like the spring game will be here, and the one thing I want you to stress in when spring practices is how are all these offensive linemen that from last year, how are they developing?
Yeah.
Are any of these guys going to be able to jump into the lineup and that right tackle and center and listen, and that's what I mean, there's so much. I love it. The season's barely over, and we're already thinking about like next year. So keep up the great work. Everything you did out at the Rose Bowl was fantastic. It was really, we really appreciate you. So thank you again, my friend. I hope to talk to you soon. And roll Tide, and let's go. What are they? Huskies? Let's go Huskies tonight.
All right, Chris. We'll catch up with you next time, man. Appreciate the call in, man.
All right, brother.
All right, take it easy.
Be good.
All right, Chris with the nice leadoff call. I appreciate all the gas up too, man. Put a lot into the channel, so it's good to hear the good feedback from the different users. It was coming to you, live from different places, the airplane, even on Delta. So glad I could come to you guys during Transfer Portal Wednesday. When I went to Manhattan Beach, and the crazy thing is the wind was like gale force winds when I was there. I was trying to break a video. I think it was Seth that he had entered the transfer portal, and people were going crazy. What's up, JJ? I see you inside the comment box. Bill Dawson, Hattie May, what's up, man? I missed you, man. Upgrade is inside the comment box as well. Bama, what's up? Chance, I see you as well. Nick Preston, what's up? Michael Fields, Ricky Smith, Dolmite, Deontay, I see you guys inside the comment box. I appreciate you guys being here. Run the thumbs up on these videos. I appreciate you guys enjoying the content and giving the feedback as well. was talking about Chris was talking about before he broke out, and I got, let's see, I got 586. Looks like we got an overseas call, 201, a 770, and a 504 coming up next right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Kind of the O-line development. So what you have coming in is you do have a transfer from Texas A&M. That's Nyquil Bentrade, who's a freshman offensive tackle. He's coming in. You have Caden Proctor on the left side. You have Tyler Booker, still trying to figure out who the center is going to be. Right guard, Jaden Roberts. And then on the right tackle, I'm not sure who that's going to be as well. Position battles at two of the spots for the Alabama offensive line. With that said, we go back to the phone lines. We'll take it at 586. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Good morning, Kyle. It's Marcel from Detroit.
What's up, Marcel? I appreciate you calling in, man. What's on your mind this morning?
I think you kind of mentioned about it because I've been keeping up with your videos this whole Rose Bowl. And the transfer portal just doesn't make sense in terms of our guys transferring out. I mean, you mentioned it. You talked about Jake Pope. I mean, this kid was a redshirt freshman. I mean, he had a bunch of opportunities. And it just doesn't make sense. And even with, I believe, Earl Little, I seen his dad posted something on Twitter. I think it was just out of frustration, maybe him not being able to play. But the kid had a lot of opportunity. I mean, you got Kool-Aid, he's gone. Then you got Terrion, he's gone. I mean, there's room for opportunity. So what's the point in leaving? I don't get it. I believe, personally, I think Saban really was broken by Earl Little because I think he really liked him. I mean, he showed a lot of promise in the spring game with the interception.
Yep.
So I just don't understand it. And then Terrence Ferguson, I mean, you got Seth leaving. There's room for opportunity for you to play and start. I just don't get it. Maybe you know more than me, so I'm just trying to get an understanding of it.
I think, man, so like the younger guys, I think guys that are leaving are, there's going to be a fan base that's always like, oh, man, we didn't need him anyways or whatever. And sometimes that's the case. And sometimes these guys get processed out. Like Seth probably got processed out, right? Like, we couldn't take that anymore. And sometimes the coaches get with these guys. I'm not saying that this is what happened, but it's happened in the past. We don't hear it, but they're like, we're going to find you another program to go to. I would have never thought that Ohio State would have landed up with Seth. Whatever. And best wishes to him. But like a case like Earl Little Jr. and Jake Pope, I think that those guys could play eventually here at Alabama and be starters here at Alabama. I don't know when. Earl Little probably had a great shot to contribute a lot this coming year. So when these guys, and same thing with T. Ferg, I think that he could have battled for that center spot. I mean, Coach Saban did refer to him as a starter at the beginning of the season at the guard position before the Hulk came on board. And that was, Jaden Roberts. But other than that, he was right there. So with the transfer portal, I think what it has made the world of college football, specifically at Alabama, is these players are, some of the players is a small percentage now that still buy into the process. And what the process to me means is staying at Alabama, playing against the best every single day, getting coached by the greatest coach in college football. And then eventually when you get your number called, you're able to contribute at the highest level in the SEC, probably a playoff game, probably a national title game, and then eventually go on to the NFL. But I think this NIL has created kind of this short-term thought process to where if I don't play in my first year, if I don't play in my second year, I'm unhappy. And there's another program that I can jump to where I can get an NIL deal and where I'm getting an idea that I can be developed at a higher level or the same level as Alabama. Like, Earl Little is going to be a baller wherever he goes. But I just think he's able to probably go into like a first or a second round guy if he stays at Alabama. So I don't understand it. I think sometimes the parents get into the player's head and they are kind of living vicariously through the players. And I see that a lot at the youth level, a lot at the high school level. Like, man, just, let your son play. Let him be coached. but I'm sure it's hard, when you see your son on the bench. But look, Chris Braz was a great example of waiting your turn. And now look, he's a first round guy. I mean, but this is a transfer portal, man. So Marcel, I think right now it's like play me or I bounce out, because I have options to get paid and I can play somewhere else.
I just think it's just ridiculous, man. It's like, it's come down, when you say you commit somewhere, that's 3 to 4 years, and then now I feel like it's like 1 to 2 years, but I don't play 1 and 2 years, I'm basically out of here. I mean, you have to develop as a player. So, I mean, I just don't understand.
And where was Earl Little? Like, where was Earl Little going to play over? Like Kool-Aid, Terrion, Malachi, Caleb, Jalen Key? I don't, and Devontae Smith said it best. He said that all of those corners or all of those players in the secondary can play different places, right? But I don't know where Earl Little, like who he was going to jump. And that's not a knock on him. It was just like he could play. Like he played. Like we liked his game. Nobody didn't like his game. And I just think if he comes back, because let's just kind of look at it. He could have battled with Damani Jackson, or Des Ricks for this corner spot. The secondary is wide open. If you're coming to Alabama in the secondary, it's pretty much open. You got Caleb Downs coming back and Trey Amos and Malachi Moore. But, I mean, you play the best guys. So that's 2 or 3 spots that you still need. Key wasn't as good as Little. So Bill Dawson is saying that Key wasn't as good. And that may be the case. I don't know. I mean, the coaches see it. I mean, we see kind of the highlights of those, clips that he posted. And I'll be honest. I mean, the clips that I saw, I was like, woof. Why is he not playing? I mean, because cause I'm sure you saw him on social media. I was like, damn, like he's good, right? I was like, ooh, he's definitely nice.
Yeah.
But hate to see it.
It's pretty good, man. It's just I don't know. It's not, I don't know. Maybe it's not for us to understand, but in the future though, I think we're gonna have to see a lot of it, because this is like a trend, So maybe we don't know, but I can go all day long, but I want to mainly talk about the game on what happened in the Rose Bowl. So my take on it is, we had a lot of mistakes, man. And coming into the game, I said, hey, if we make a lot of mistakes, there's a possibility that Michigan can still be in the game. We played our worst, like absolute worst in the first half. Second half, we did better. But coming out of the second half, we're driving the ball. It's looking like we're about to score. And then all of a sudden, the snap happens, and that backs us up to about maybe the 40-yard line, and it just messes up everything. It messes up the whole drive. And then after that, it just came from downhill. We definitely couldn't get a rhythm of offense. We couldn't block. We couldn't block up front. There was nothing Tommy Rees, he did the exact same game plan he started off with, which was not having the right plays, not enough motions, not to confuse the defense. There wasn't enough. Not to blame Tommy Rees. He did a phenomenal job all year. But you have to adjust, Like, that's what it's about the second half. If you don't do good the first half, you adjust to the second half. And we did a poor job, and that's why we lost.
You know what? Michigan did a really good job on their second drive, or at least their first scoring drive, with all the misdirection. I talked about that before. But I thought they did a really good job. It seemed like Alabama's defense was off balance. And J.J. McCarthy also made some plays. The guy played a really good game. That kind of trick play that they had or whatever, that reverse where he caught the ball one-handed and then he tossed it downfield, that was a baller. Michigan, I thought they did a better job on offense in terms of execution. But like you're saying, Alabama didn't do a good job, in coming up with a creative game plan against Michigan. And then on top of that, they didn't take advantage of a lot of Michigan's miscues. How many, let's count it. Michigan had 2 muffed punts, a missed field goal. And that first play of the game should have been an interception, but it was called for an illegal touching. I said this earlier. If Alabama was able to, if that wasn't an illegal touching, I think Alabama runs through Michigan. That was a huge turning point from the jump, like that first play of the game. We got a super chat in here. Actually, we got two. Claire, great Rose Bowl coverage, Kyle. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you very much. Love the avatar. Creative Freedom, Visual Art says, what's up, Kyle? Let's link up. I want to work with you guys. I'm from Tuscaloosa. I have interviews with Mbakwe, Beeman, Grimsley, and more. All right, Creative. Yeah, hit me up, man. I will get with you in the community tab, or I'll drop my email inside this link, man. Appreciate the super chat. What else you got, Marcel?
I mean, I don't want to take up all your time.
Yeah, we have a couple people on, but I'm gonna be on, all this week. So if you want to call back at another point, it's all good. And I think, you said something earlier. It's like Tommy Rees. I thought he started out slow this season, and then he found like a really good rhythm. And then I'm not sure what happened after the Georgia game, but it seemed like the offensive play calling regressed. And it really wasn't interesting against Michigan. I mean, I'm sure he's thinking about some different things, but a lot had to do with the center position as well. Like, you got to get a good snap. I mean, I never would have thought we would be talking about as many bad snaps as we did this season, but it was what it was. I mean, I don't know if James is going to be the center this year, and I'm going to keep harping on this. I want to see a bigger center. I think that Seth was undersized, and I think that James might be undersized, in my opinion, as well. I want like a 6'5", 320 center, 330, something like that, like a Landon Dickerson.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the only guy. Seth was the only guy that that was pretty much smaller, because we had an NFL line, man. I mean, our average weight was about 350.
Yeah,
around those lines.
And some of those guys turned out to be slow. Just hearing that Adonai Mitchell out of Texas is headed to the NFL, no surprise. All right, man. Marcel, hit me up this week, man. I appreciate you calling in. It was good to rap with you.
All right, roll tide.
Roll tide to you, man. All right, Marcel calling from Detroit. We got a 201-770-504-919. Coming up next right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up. Run the thumbs up on these videos. I appreciate you guys being here. What's up, Hattie May? I see you guys. Hennessy is asking, what about Kendrick Blackshire? That's an interesting one. Think about this. Is crazy. This is going to blow your mind. Kendrick Blackshire, already going to be a senior at the University of Alabama, has had limited playing time. And when you look at the inside linebackers coming back this year, Deontay Lawson and Jahad Campbell, those are going to be your starters. Trez Marshall going to the NFL. So I would list right now Kendrick Blackshire in the 2 deep at the inside linebacker position. But I don't necessarily know if he's going to be a starter or not, because Jahad Campbell was, my goodness, lights out. And so is Deontay Lawson. I mean, those two inside that is going to be your those are going to be your leaders of your defense. And then from the outside linebacker perspective, I don't know. It's going to be a position battle for sure. I mean, Q Rob, he's really, really good. Quashawn Robinson. And then you have Yanze Pierre. You have Keon Keeley, Quay Russo. That's going to be a really wild spot for the outside linebacker. That's the key position battle going into the season, is that outside linebacker, 100%. All right, we go to the phone lines of 201. Hey, what's going on? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, it's Adam calling in from Georgia.
What's up, Adam? I appreciate you, man. Happy New Year. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you all for all your support last year, and looking forward to 2024, man. With that said, what's on your mind?
Yeah, thanks. Happy New Year to you too, and I look forward to continuing to support the show. I guess my question is, I'm still so disappointed from that loss. When I saw it on TV, I was just thinking you were there in person.
Yeah.
So it's different when you're in person. So what were you seeing on the field? Were there open receivers that Milroe was missing, for example? Because from watching it on TV, it seemed like we were playing like we did against Texas, and it seemed like Milroe was struggling to read the defenses. And most importantly, it seemed like our defense was making mental errors that were hurting them. But I was just wondering, what was it like in person? What were you seeing on the field that really concerns you about the game?
This is a great question. What I saw was the exact same thing that happened in week 2 versus Texas. Remember when their defensive line was just getting to Jalen Milroe whenever they wanted, or they were getting pressure, and Milroe couldn't do anything? That's exactly what I saw with Michigan, except Michigan was getting to Jalen Milroe faster. I think Michigan's defensive line, I knew that I thought that their secondary was going to be really good, and I thought that their defensive line was going to be, I don't know, pretty good, but they were like elite. They were great. They were better than the week 2 Texas Longhorns defensive front. Their linebackers were good. They were flying at Jalen Milroe. And you know what I think happened? I think that Jalen Milroe, I think that he was so afraid to make a turnover that it kind of because it limited him from just being the baller that he is. Like, I think some of those throws, he was so protective of making a turnover, right? He didn't make a turnover against Georgia. He didn't make a turnover against Michigan. Right. But with that said, like, sometimes, that kind of limited him from just being the overall gamer that he is. And I think that the offensive line failed him too. And that's why he couldn't get the ball to some of his receivers downfield. And I think there was a lot. I mean, he missed on a couple passes that I thought he should have hit. But, man, I think when the offensive line is getting beat up front, I mean, what can you do? I mean, the offensive line got beat by Texas. They got beat by Michigan. So in the previous, 2 losses, Alabama was able to be beat over the top. But this time, I think the offensive line failed Alabama and limited what Jalen Milroe could have done because he had limited time against Michigan. But what I saw was just Michigan just beating the crap out of Alabama up front, straight up. Like, they were getting to him so fast that he couldn't do anything. That's what I saw.
Yeah, that's sad. So the last thing I'll ask is, like, what do you feel about our team next year? What do you think the outlook is for our chances at winning it all?
I mean, I love it. I mean, I think that
I do too.
I mean, there's already articles, why Alabama is going to win the national title. Well, the expectation is that Alabama, of course, Alabama's going to be right up in the mix. I was like, oh, wow, shocker. Really? Really? You think Alabama's going to be good next year? They're going to be good every single year. I do like the fact that there's so many coming back on offense, right? You look at all the kind of the spillover into this year. Specifically, your quarterback's returning. We talked about the running backs. You look at the wide receivers. You look at the offensive line. They have a couple holes that they need to fill there. The kicking game could be something that we need to aim our attention to because it's easy to take for granted a really good kicker. And not a really good kicker, the best kicker ever in college football. And you're losing him. And think about how many points that he had this year for Alabama. That's a huge role to fill for Connor Talty coming back. So the defense, I think, will be fine. There'll be guys who stand out. The corner positions are going to be concerning because Terrion and Kool-Aid were outstanding. And I'm going to go back because there's a lot of people that didn't feel that Kool-Aid did a really good job. What will tell us what did a good job in terms of the stats is looking at the Pro Football Focus numbers because they break down how many actual targets each cornerback faced during the season. So let's reserve on that. But we know that both of those guys will be first-round picks and tearing on Kool-Aid. So replacing those guys concerns me, along with the kicking game. I am happy that James Burnup's coming back as punter. So we can't forget the special teams. I mean, that's such a pivotal part. And then the center has to improve. So everything else looks great on paper, at least. But George is saying Connor Talty going to be fine. Yeah, I think he will be fine. It's just like there was some situations during the year where there were some high pressure kicks from 45, 50 yards out. And there was like limited anxiety from everybody because Will Riker would just show up. And now I know he missed some against LSU and against Tennessee, but overall he would just kind of line up and just hit it. So, but next year, I mean, I think the team is looking fantastic. Now their schedule is pretty challenging. You go on that first road game to Wisconsin, and in the back end you have Auburn, and then you have Oklahoma in back-to-back weeks. It's always going to be a gauntlet in the SEC, but overall, I mean, as long as this guy on the screens here, Coach Saban, these guys will be good. Jalen Milroe returns. He's going to be much better. He's going to be almost 22 years old. So, like the team, I just need to, there's a couple holes they need to fill.
Awesome. Well, thanks for answering my question, and great show as always. Roll Tide, Kyle.
Appreciate you, Adam. Thanks, man. Take it easy.
Yeah.
All right, Adam from Georgia calling in. We got a 770-504 and a 919 coming up next right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Dr. Gonzo, what's up? He's our hope you're having a good new year, man. Doesn't matter if Jalen Milroe matures, UGA taking the 2024 Natty. Georgia comes to, you know what, I was thinking about this. I've said this before. There's a scenario where Georgia and Alabama could theoretically play 3 times. Because Georgia comes to Alabama, which would be great. Look at the hotel rooms in Tuscaloosa for that Georgia game in week 3. It's crazy. The rooms are like $1,900 or something like that. So if they played in Tuscaloosa and then they finish out 1-2 in the SEC title game, and then they get matched up in the playoffs, they could play 3 times. Wouldn't that be crazy? That'd be great for business overall. But yeah, good luck trying to find a spot. I might rent out my house for that Georgia game and go somewhere else. Why not? People are going to be paying whatever they want to come over here to watch Georgia Bama. Kirby. Oh, the Falcons coach just got let go. Dr. Gonzo, you think Kirby Smart going to the Falcons? You're going to kill that rumor. All right, let's see what we got. We got this 770. You're up next. Let's do it. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
My name is Lucas. I'm calling just from Georgia. What's up, Kyle?
What's up, Lucas? I appreciate you calling in, man. Happy New Year. Thanks for being here.
Happy New Year. I think the Rose Bowl, I think this is kind of how we practice, because remember, Nick Saban took the tablets away because of Harbaugh or the cheating scandal. And so we had to practice differently for the game. It's not that we did bad. Just don't get me wrong. I was mad because we lost, but then I had to stop and think. It's just kind of how we practice because of Harbaugh. We couldn't practice like we need to do, like we did with Georgia, like we did with the rest of the teams in the season. We had to practice differently. That way, if we would have practiced usual, Nick Saban was afraid Harbaugh was going to steal it, was take that and use it and against us. And so we had to practice differently. And so I don't think Alabama did bad. I think Bama did good. It's just because against Michigan, we didn't have a choice to go that way because what Michigan did, what Harbaugh did. So we had to go this way. Harbaugh forced Nick Saban to do that. And so I was like I said, I was mad, but then I had to stop and think that I was more upset with Harbaugh or was at Alabama losing because Harbaugh forced Nick Saban to do this. He said, yes, Nick Saban hated to do this, but it was not against Tommy Rees, wasn't against the staff, was against the players. Only one player I am glad he's gone. That is Steph McLaughlin. He messed up everything for the offense. But I think now he's gone, and Bama's going to be just fine. And the 2 corners, I feel like I think secondary is going to be dangerous next year. It's going to be fine. I think our outside linebacker is going to be fine. Because you remember, for the spring before this season started, and Chris Boswell, they got hurt. They couldn't play. And who stepped up? Who stepped up from them guys? And so them guys who stepped up for them are coming back next year. And they're going to be good. I love them. I think our outside linebacker is going to be dangerous. I mean, dangerous. And our inside, too. So I'm not worried about this team. And like before and all that, sometimes it's given and sometimes you lose it. And so it happens. It happens to either team. Sometimes you lose good players, and sometimes you lose not so good players, and sometimes you gain players from it. But it's like, I'm not worried about this Bama team. We're going to be fine. The only position I am worried about at the most right now is our wide receiver. Since you lost all your wide receivers to the NFL and somewhere into the transfer portal, how are you going to like your slot receiving? you're good on. You're good. But you're outside on the corner, I'm kind of concerned. Who's going to do that? Who's going to step up? But since you don't got nobody in there, you got to go build you wide receiver room back up. So that's what I have. And other than that, dude, Bama's fine going next year. Bama's fine. Like just right now, I'm not upset about the game. I knew what's going to happen. I knew how I was practicing. I knew Michigan's going to beat us. And I really hate to say that. I wasn't mad at it before, but then I thought about it. I'm just chill. I'm just ready for next year, get myself, and trying to win games, get better, step back in the playoffs, and actually finish the job.
Dope. On with Lucas from Georgia. Lucas, I'm going to answer you on the other line, man. Thanks for calling in, man. I appreciate you, okay?
Okay.
All right. I'm going to get to Lucas's point here. He said something interesting, and I heard Coach Saban talk about this as well. So Lucas said that Alabama had to practice differently, or at least he was thinking about it, or that they had to going into this game against the Rose Bowl. So Coach Saban was recently asked on the Pat McAfee show about the last play of the game. Because if you remember, in college football, you only get one timeout, right? Each team gets one timeout. And Coach Saban, they had lined up for the 4th and 3, and Coach Saban was asked if he liked the personnel. So he basically, Michigan called a timeout, and Alabama goes out, and they send another play. And at that point in time, they called a timeout. And then when they went, he didn't like how Alabama was lined up against Michigan. But he said that the coaches failed the players because they should have rerouted that play and basically like a look over to see another call from the sideline. So, Coach Saban is always going to take accountability, but I thought that was an interesting point, saying that Coach Saban felt that he failed the guys not calling a different play with that final 4th and 3. I thought that was an interesting clip, and you can watch that on Pat McAfee's show. So I don't know. Did they have to practice differently because of the sign stealing? I don't know. That's going to be something that we hear later on, and when Nick Saban has his documentary done about Alabama's dynasty, but something to think about. And then Lucas also said he's not worried about the linebackers next year. Neither am I. I think it is going to be challenging losing Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell to the NFL, but the guys kind of behind that, I think you're going to have a huge year from either Q Rob or those two, really 3 of the freshmen, right? Quay Russo, don't forget about him, Keon Keeley, and then Yanze Pierre. Corner should be good as well, but I don't know. I mean, Kool-Aid and Taron, those guys are ballers, and they were tested all season long against some very good offenses. So losing those guys, I think, is going to be tough, but they should be able to, recover from those guys. Hey, Arnold is saying 8 returning offensive starters, 5 or 6 returning starters on defense. I'm not too worried. Yeah, that's good. I think we probably put together a video talking about those returning starters on both sides of the ball to kind of go over who played significant time this past season. Let's see. Someone is saying that the championship tickets are $900. Someone is saying that it's $3,400. I don't know. Whatever the case is, I know that they would have been much more if Alabama and Texas were playing. And of course, Michigan does travel well. And I can attest to that because it seemed like there was Michigan fans everywhere in California, everywhere. Like even a couple days after, because you guys know I stayed in California a couple days after, Manhattan Beach, which is completely on the other side of the map from Pasadena, people had Michigan shirts on, like 4 or 5 days after. I don't even know where they're buying those shirts at. All right, 504, let's get it. Hey, thanks for calling in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Yeah, this is Michael from New Orleans.
Hey, what's up, Michael? I appreciate you, man. Calling from the Big Easy. Happy New Year, man. Thanks for joining the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, same you. Happy New Year to you also.
Yeah.
The question I had was, I heard like some little rumors saying like the team wasn't really locked in California. Like they were like more concerned about being in like in LA, like going on Rodeo Drive shopping.
Yeah.
Than worried about actually playing Michigan. Do you know any truth to that, or
That's a good question. I did hear a couple of the players saying that they went to Rodeo Drive and they did their shopping, and they were kind of like living that kind of lifestyle, enjoying being out in Cali. I think the fact that these players now have money to just throw around, who knows if that gets in their way of their thought process? I don't know. I talked to several different players that said that the team was locked in. I think it kind of came down more to lack of execution, and the fact that Michigan just did a better job on defense than Alabama's offense. I think it came down to that. I think Michigan's defense, Alabama's offense, and that in overtime, Alabama's defense had an opportunity to stop Michigan and they didn't. So I think it was more about the execution than kind of that mindset, because I felt that the players were really dialed in, and the team was pretty pissed off. Like, they really wanted to prove everybody wrong by winning a natty, because there's so many people. I've never covered a team that was doubted more than this last year's team. I mean, everybody was doubting. People were thinking that Ole Miss was going to beat them. People were thinking about Tennessee was going to beat them. People were thinking about LSU was going to beat them. There was no way that Alabama was going to beat Georgia, right? So it was like, I'd never seen that happen covering the team, covering Alabama. So no, I don't think it was kind of, I think they were hungry. But I think that it just came down to execution. I think, Michigan put together a better game plan, really on offense too. I mean, the misdirections, and Dexter saying we handed Michigan the game. Maybe so, but I kind of just point to the execution. What else you got, Michael?
Yeah, going along with what you said about the misdirections and stuff like that, I was wondering why. Well, I know Nick Saban likes to play, like the man, coverage, but I was wondering why he wouldn't switch to a zone. So, the player would be covering an area of the field instead of, having confusion about who's coming, who crossing, coming across them, crossing routes, whatever like that. And instead of, sitting back, keeping everything in front of them and playing the zone. So that kind of caught my, surprise. It didn't, make that adjustment to kind of, help the secondary out a little bit.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And another question that I had too was Dallas Turner was asked after the game about rushing the quarterback. As you know, they didn't get much heat on JJ McCarthy, and he's like, I don't know why it wasn't blitz more. And he said, and it seemed like he was kind of pissed off. He was like, I only do what I'm told to do. So I don't know if because overall we felt really strongly about Kevin Steele's defensive play calling, but he said that Coach Saban was really the defensive coordinator. You also have Traveris Robinson, Robert Bala back there working with the inside linebackers coach. I don't know in terms of zone or man, but I think it was a great job for Michigan, what they did with all their motions and shifts. I really wish that Alabama would do that more with all of their weapons, because Alabama has way more weapons than Michigan has. I think just Michigan did a better job with their on both on their defensive game plan and their offensive game plan. But I think you bring up a good question with man or zone. I don't know, that's a good question. I have to get back to you on that and talk with the coaches about the zone or man call. But good question.
All right, man. I don't keep it too long, Carl, but appreciate it and keep up the good work.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate the call from New Orleans.
All right.
I was shocked that Alabama allowed that touchdown in overtime. I was so confident that Alabama's defense would come up with a stop and that Alabama would have a chance to go down and go for the win. Credit to Michigan again. Who do you guys think is going to win tonight, Michigan or Washington? Let me know inside the comment box. Michigan or Washington? I want to see you guys inside the comment box. I guess I'm going to pick Michigan. Jarvis, if you're here, what's the total? I know they're favored by 4.5. I'm going to say Michigan 30. Is Michigan really going to score 35 points? I guess. Man, I don't know. Michigan 31, Washington 28. I don't know. But I'm taking Michigan. All right. I think, okay. Thank you, Jarvis. Jarvis is always here. Okay. 55.5. I like my score then. All right. 31-28. I'll take Michigan. And we'll take our next caller. It's 919. Hey, thanks for calling in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, how you doing, man? It's G. How you doing?
Good. What's your name again? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. There's a little bit of static in here, but we'll try our best. What's your name?
G.
All right. What's up, G?
Hey, what's going on? You said something that was important to the last caller. How Dallas Turner showed his frustration in the interview, right?
He did.
One thing I think a lot of people miss is players know better too. You know what I'm saying? Like, coaches are coaches, right? But players know some things. And one thing I will say, because, you know, I never played at this high level, but I played high school football. And one thing I will say is we all know who should be playing, right? Like, if you practice against a team, you know who should play the running back, or you know who should play the receiver, the DB, or So I think there was a lot of frustration with the play calling off of his end. Because if you really look at it, it was kind of shocking to see us not really attack them. You know what I'm saying? It's like we kind of play out of what we're good at. We didn't have a dominant D-line this year. We actually haven't had a dominant D-line in several seasons. But we didn't have a dominant D-line, and the amount of man that we ran is kind of for a team that gets pressure. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it was kind of weird. But I want to talk about the Earl Little situation, bro. I really think that's unfortunate. I really do. Because I also feel the issue with Bama is who did Saban choose to play? And, you know, let's be honest. King was not worth losing Earl Little. King was not worth losing Jake Pope. You know what I'm saying? It's weird that who we choose to play and what Saban will say in a press meeting behind why he chose to play certain people. If you look at the linebacker position, Tresman Marshall, I hate to say it, but the kid was no good. And with the production of Tresman Marshall, there's no reason Jahad Campbell shouldn't have started the season over him. There's no reason we didn't see Blackshire more. For the production of the production that Tresman Marshall gave us, we should have seen Murphy a lot more. And then, you know, Saban say, well, this system is too hard for you to understand coming in quickly, right? But we see a lot of guys come in and just start. You know what I'm saying? So it's like certain guys who the fans say, hey, this guy's better. Saban to get an interview and say, well, you don't know the playbook. Same thing with Eli Ricks. Remember? Eli Ricks didn't play. The fans kept saying, hey, let's get Ricks out there. Let's get Ricks out there. We're getting carved up. He don't know the playbook. He don't know the playbook. But we lose to Tennessee, and the following week, all of a sudden, he knows the playbook. Now he's starting. So I think the biggest issue with Bama Dog is playing time. I kind of said it to you before. You got to remember, Kyle, our best old lineman started the season as a third stringer. As the season progressed, if you add up all the PFF, Jaden Roberts is the best old lineman on the team. And he was third string, Kyle. So if it happened to Jaden, it happened somewhere else. You follow me? Like, if it's one, it's two. And if it's two, there's almost three. So Jaden Roberts wasn't the only guy who should have started, but he's third string. And I think that's the issue, man. I think the issue with Bama is we can't really see what's really going on because we recruit so well. When you got the number one class for 5 seasons in a row, you're going to win 10 games. I hate to say that Saban not coaching, but look at our roster, dog. We're going to win 10 games. So when the big game comes along, we missing playmaking. We're missing electric things that stars do, but, you know, we see Saban have seniority and stuff like that. And I really think playing time is the biggest issue. I'm not confident in Bama next year because I don't know if Saban will play the better quarterback next year. We know he's going to go with Milroe. experience. But hey, look, Steph cost us with snaps, right? Steph cost us. So I'm gonna say Miro really cost us, man. When the snap was good, you got to hit the slants, man. You got to hit the reads off the blitz. When the line gave you time, you got to capitalize. I think we did enough to win. I agree with you on the final play. That's not the final play, the final drive.
Mm-hmm.
It's the defense, like I said, it showed that it's not elite. It showed that it's good. You know what I'm saying? But when Bama has needed to be elite outside of the Georgia game, we've lost, bro, the past, 2-3 seasons?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need a talent surge and just play the guys, man. A lot of people giving Bruce to Tommy Reese, and a lot of people, it's warranted. But I think Tommy, I'm going to say this time when you go there. I'm not going to say Tommy threw the game. I think Tommy is exposing that what Miro can't do. Because we've seen Tommy call plenty of plays that make Miro look crazy good, right? And then you go the next drive and you see it dial back, or you go to the next drive and you see him take the ball from Chase, or you see him take the ball out of somebody's hands. And I think Tommy Reese wants a quarterback back there because that's what he keeps calling. You get what I'm saying? He's calling what quarterback can do. He's not really calling for Miro. So, Kyle, I want you to talk about something. Do you think Saban has the guts to play Ty Simpson, to play Julian Sand? From what he has shown us, you know what I'm saying? Like, he benched JoJo Earl. He benched all these other guys for key. So do you think he has the guts to really play the best guy, or will seniority and who he likes continue to hinder us, Kyle? Appreciate you, big dog.
Yeah, no doubt. Appreciate you being here, man. Thanks for the call, G. G calling in from Miami. Before I get to that, here are the Pro Football Focus grades from the defense versus Michigan. So if you're new to the Pro Football Focus grades, Pro Football Focus is a group of former coaches at the college level, NFL level, that now work for Pro Football Focus, and they grade out the player. So I'll just walk you up through real quick. Caleb Downs up at the top. The star indicates that the player did start. The total up at the top, TOT, is basically the snap counts. So Caleb Downs played in 60 snaps. And then coverage 24. His defensive grade was a 65.4. And how a 85 would be elite, right? So when you're looking at these grades, just to kind of give you an idea. And so here are the grades from the Michigan game. Hadn't showed those yet. So is Saban brave enough to play the best player at Alabama? Yeah, 100%. I mean, his job depends on it, right? I mean, he has to. I think that, if we do get into some sort of situation to where, it's really on the line for the quarterback. I mean, Saban's done it before to win a national title game when he pulled Jalen and put Tua as the quarterback. And he did it when he put Tua as the quarterback over Jalen Hurts that following season. And then you saw Jalen Hurts rise up in the SEC title game. I mean, that was like a movie. So, if we get to that point in time, I think Saban would make that move, to put the best quarterback in play to lead this team. I don't think that Saban is soft in that regard. I mean, his job really depends on it. He's going to be judged based on what he does. And I think, these last, years of Coach Saban, he wants to win another national title or two. I think he can do that. And I think Jalen Milroe is still the guy for the job. I think that Julian Sand, from what I've seen, the dude needs to add like 20 pounds. Hopefully he's doing that today by getting in the weight room and, hooking up with their dietitians. Because when I saw him, he looks really small. But I think they're going to fix that. I mean, that's nothing to be worried about. So yeah, I'm not worried about Saban, playing the best player. I mean, he started to play Jace. I wish we would have seen more of Jace. There's a lot of guys, you got to play the best, and it's tough. I mean, you're playing the gauntlet of the SEC. You have, I don't think, honestly, this would be interesting to think about if Saban thinks about playing time. And he has said recently on the Pat McAfee show that never one time has an NFL scout called him and asked Coach, how was the player as his freshman season or his sophomore season, right? They want to see that developmental process from the player. But, I think a lot of people are like, this guy's better, he's better. The younger guys seem to always be better than the upperclassmen, right? It's the same thing that we go through every single year. This will be my last call. It's at 334. Hey, what's up? You on the line with Kyle Henderson, who I'm on the line with, and where you calling in from?
Hey, it's Carl Taylor calling out of Selma, Alabama.
What's up, man? I missed your name. What'd you say? Say it one more time.
Carl Taylor.
All right, what's up, man? I appreciate you calling in,
Carl.
man. Happy New Year, and thanks for joining the show, man. Take it away.
Hey, man, a lot of people talking about coaching, right?
Yep.
I'm a coach myself.
Okay.
The players make plays. So, with that being said, Tommy Reese called the plays. If Jalen Miro make the right read, make the right throw, gets the ball out fast enough, the plays work. All you gotta see that Tommy Reed did not do enough of will call the quick outs, the slants, the dead routes to get your speed and space faster. If they do more of the quick out, the speed plays,
Mm-hmm.
will be more. That offense will be more dynamic. You know, you start with the short game and then you start working to the long game.
Mm-hmm.
With Tommy Reese play calling, he starts with the long ball and then he try to work his way down to the short ball. So you run the ball a lot or a little, and then you start playing a little short game. Once you get the defense to suck in, want to play the slants, play the wide receiver string, play the running back string, play the tunnel strings, tight end string, then you throw it going deep to what we utilizing your speed in the deep ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that I've seen that they didn't do right this year. And on the defensive side, the last play of the game, I would have brought pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much about it. I just would have brought a little more pressure.
Yeah.
And they beat me over the top. You would beat me by pressure. You wouldn't have beat me by playing zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't really
So what
see.
do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I love the call about the slants. I mean, even Hattie May inside the comment box talking about that. I mean, specifically with a guy as dynamic as Isaiah Bond, right? When you look to his kind of his catch total, you like to see those numbers busted way up, just because I think he's a guy that has that kind of elite speed after the catch. We've seen that in the past years, you know, and I know that Jalen is a different quarterback than the past quarterbacks, but still, it's got to be an added component of your game. Like to see that mixed in. I just think like when I looked at this Michigan game specifically, it felt like the offense never found a rhythm. It was like and with that they never had momentum. And if you look kind of to the Georgia game and to the Michigan game, I don't know how many. I have to look at the Pro Football Focus numbers, but how many passes that Jalen completed that were over 20 yards in those games? Now I get it. Georgia's secondary is really good. So is Michigan's. But it seems like they took that deep ball away and they never really adjusted towards that. So yeah, he still had his yards. I think he had 192 against Georgia, but against Michigan, I thought they did a really good job taking away the deep stuff, and the corners were really good as well as the safeties.
Yes, and when you have really good corners and your safeties are playing over the top, your number one resource is at the middle of the field. And what's the best way to get to the middle of the field as a defense? When people are playing man-to-man or playing deep zone.
Yep, slant.
Utilize your slants.
Yep, slant. Yep.
Quick slants.
Mm-hmm.
Quick slants. Quick out. Quick slants, quick outs. Drags.
Yep.
Wide receiver drag across the middle. Put Jalen Miro on a rollout where he have a two-way option. Where you can hit the drag across the middle or you can keep it.
See, and that's what I thought they should have done on the last play of the game with that 4th and 3 is they should have hit Jalen with the rollout to give him two options, right? Either going to throw it or you're going to run it. I mean, but now that you kind of look back at the last play call and you do see that whole, you know, people are always going to have it up for debate, and then they're saying that it was a really low snap, which it was, but I didn't like the call. Adam wants to see the offensive grades. Yeah, I got those for you. Adam, I'll post up the offensive grades. What else you got, Coach?
Yeah, I didn't like the last play call myself, being in the fact that with Nick Saban, 3 out of the 4 times he's been in the playoff and we lost the game, they always beat him on a pick route. Like my brain really rolled back to like, okay, teams beat me on pick routes in the last play of the game. Why not run a pick route myself on the last play of the game?
Yeah, I like that, right? That would have been the perfect play because, and thanks for the comments, George. I see you inside the comment box. You're right. I mean, that would have been the perfect down and distance to run the rub route, right? You can't call them picks. You can call them rubs. That would have been the perfect. You could have done a rub route with a rollout, right? You roll them out. You have basically Kendrick Law coming across on the rub, and you have on the outside, you have Isaiah Bond, right? Because, I mean, he's not dropping anything. That would have been the perfect setup. Isaiah Bond or float, somehow Dupree or Kendrick Law, and then you hit Isaiah Bond with the rollout. And if it's not there, then Jalen Milroe just dives over into the end zone. Here are the Pro Football Focus grades for the offense. So up top, you got Caden Proctor. None of these grades are terrible. Caden Proctor, 65.5. Tyler Booker, he got beat up, 47.3. Jaden Roberts, top performing offensive lineman, 68.7. JC Latham, 66.9. Seth had a grade of 50.4. Where's Jalen Milroe? Oh, Milroe, 63.1. Jay, 71.3. So, yeah, those are your Pro Football Focus grades. Anything else, Coach? Coach, anything else while I got you on the line? I don't know what happened to Coach. Good call, though. Coach, call back again this week, man. Appreciate hearing from you, man. I always like to chop it up with the coaches. And get with my coaches, too. Coach Smoot, Coach Sean, Coach Jarek, those guys doing such a great job. Got to get those guys back in the rotation, maybe tonight for Monday Night Quarterback. But I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much for joining the call-in show. Run the thumbs up on these videos. It really helps these videos. And I will be back every time there is breaking news on a live, or I will have my call-in show now that I'm back here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I'm looking forward to 2024. I have my vision boards, all my boards, all my whiteboards that I live off of are going to get cleaned out. I'm going to have some new visions going into 2024. So I appreciate you guys being here. Be good people. Take care of each other. And I will catch up with you guys on breaking news or another video right here on Bama Football on YouTube, inching closer to 100,000 subscribers, which is going to be awesome, right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys joining me today on Monday, January 8th. Enjoy the national title game. I know Bama's not in there, but it's college football. Enjoy all your NFL and the playoffs and, all that stuff because, there's nothing better than football. Then we go into the long season of kind of, the what ifs before spring football hits. So thanks for joining. Run the thumbs up, and I'll catch up with you guys soon right here on Bama Football on YouTube.